What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your Friday NFL crew here, including the return of JD, who's joining us on vacation, looking fresh as heck. Pretty sure you're about to send it in a snowmobile. Love the look today. Ben, smiling as always. Good to have you on. And Jammer, welcome back to the show. Excited to have everyone on. Excited to go over today's NFL slate. I'm assuming everyone can hear me today. The technical difficulties have gone away. But JD, you're back. How's your trip? And I hope you had a very Merry Christmas.
Yes, I am back. Yeah, man. It is actually going very well. We're kind of traveling a little bit of here and a little bit of there. So yeah, I will go and tell everybody as far as next week. I'm going to be on some shows, but I am also going to miss a few days. We're just not really sure what those days are yet. But yeah, man, everything's going really well though.
Love to hear that. Ben, another day. Me and you are on here. How are you today?
Another day. Yesterday was interesting. But,
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I know. I wasn't going to bring up the record or anything because I know you always get mad at me.
I do.
So I just said it was interesting. That's all I said. That's all I'll lead off with.
I'll take that. We're going over to Jammer now. I guess that's Ben's big intro. Jammer.
That's my only intro. Yesterday was interesting.
Back on the show. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. We haven't seen you since Christmas. How are you, sir?
Yep. Fun Christmas adventures with the family. Always a good time. But yesterday, I'm gonna second what Ben said. Yesterday was an interesting one.
Well, that's a good segue. So let's dive right into our recap from Thursday. I'm going to go first. Not a good day for me. I had the over in the NFL game, probably the worst bet in history. The Magic lost on a buzzer beater. So not a great day for me, but we have a beautiful slate today that's starting with Navy. Going to be honest, I'm on Navy. We're not covering that game, but it's starting in just a minute. So hoping we have a big day today. JD, been red hot. How'd you do yesterday? And I know basically over the last week you've been on fire.
I was about to say, yeah, things have been going really, really well. Been really hot. I'll have to say yesterday was my first down day here, in actually a few days. That game last night, that was one of the worst games.
Ghost is here early. I apologize.
So yeah, I ended up. I believe it was a 3-3 day though.
There you go. Ben, now go into everything why you felt it was a bit of an interesting day.
Caleb Williams. Couldn't get to 21 completions.
He sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I know the Seahawks have a good secondary, and he had a lot of pressure on him, as we expected with that O-line. Just still couldn't complete even some easy throws. I went 2-3, so it wasn't the end of the world. But my 3-minute play was that Caleb Williams play, which did not come through that side.
I did think you found a good lead on that. I just think that this team is in absolute shambles. I think we learned everything we need to know about the Bears going into the last week of the year. That's all I'm going to say on that. Jammer, how'd you do yesterday?
2-1 day yesterday was one Tyler Hero buzzer beater away from the 3-0 sweep. I think you were on that one as well.
Sure was.
Orlando Magic at home, usually a wagon, but that fourth quarter with that explosion, man, that was tough to watch.
Sure was. Definitely was.
It was better than the NFL game, though, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you were sitting at home last night and you stared at your wall and we were just looking at your wall, you were more entertained than watching that football game last night. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Before we go into today's breakdown, before we go into the cluck bet, we do have one question. I want to go over this because it's not really on today's agenda and the game is just starting. Anybody have any action in the Navy-Oklahoma game? I kind of said it earlier. I am on Navy in this game. It is the first kickoff of the day. Starts in about 1 minute. Ben is saying no. JD or Jammer, anything from you guys?
I do not have a play. The line on that, I actually missed it. But as far as Navy, we definitely have to lean them. And actually bowl games, that's just teams like that you just don't want to go against. Because for these bowl games, the other team does not really want to have to prep actually for that.
Yep.
So this would be a Navy or either pass.
There we go. And J-Bo or anybody in the chat, if you guys are on that game, keep us updated on the score. We can't keep up with the score here, so let us know, especially if Navy scores. I think we're going to be very happy about that. Jammer, anything from you?
Shout out my buddy Cam. He's in the Navy out in Japan. So
absolutely.
I'm going to have to be rooting for them today. Go Navy.
There we go. Navy. I'm with you. And shout out Cam. Shout out to everybody who represents our country. We appreciate you, especially when we're home enjoying the holidays, talking sports, doing what we love to do. That's because of people like Cam and other people who are in the Navy, other military branches that really do protect us and let us enjoy these freedoms. So we appreciate you.
100%.
One more over to the comments before we have to make me cluck. Corey Phillips is here. Shout out, Corey. We appreciate you tuning in as always, my brother. Well, unfortunately, let's say a goodbye to a couple people. Ben, let's get rid of you. Let's get rid of you. And this is what happens when I stupidly agree to be on the same side as this fucking guy. I crushed you on that. I was way better, by the way. Let's get the boys back in here. Let's get the setup right. Bets have been honored. And boys, you know what time it is. It's time to dive into a little NFL action. First game we're breaking down today, guys, is going to be the Broncos taking on the Bengals. We have a high total here, a total of 50. Broncos are coming into this game 9-6. They're 4-4 on the road, taking on a Bengals team that are 7-8 and 2-5 at home. Short and sweet on this game. The Bengals need to win this game. But not only do the Bengals need to win this game, the Denver Broncos need to win this game. There is a very crazy battle for the final wild card spot in the AFC. The Bengals currently hold the tiebreaker over teams like the Broncos, and the Broncos are 2 games up. So if the Bengals win this game, they'll be 1 back. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the Bengals play the Chiefs on the last week. They do have a very tough opponent on that last game. So this is a massive game for the Broncos. Let's start with Ben. What do you like in this game?
I absolutely love one play in this game, and it's going to be to see some points. Hopefully this game does not look like the Thursday night football game we witnessed yesterday, and I don't think it will. Bo Nix has been pretty excellent down the stretch of the season.
All year.
Playoff spot, except for 2 games ago against Indianapolis. But even in that game, they still scored 31 points in that game. Just behind strong offense, and Bo Nix has been looking really, really good after kind of a slow start to the season. But all of a sudden they're 4-1 in their last 5. There was 61 points in their last game against the Chargers. Their offense is clicking right now, and the Bengals, quite honestly, have a terrible defense. I think that Bo Nix and this offense can absolutely score on them. On the other side, you have Cincinnati with Joe Burrow in them, who can score on anyone. We've seen them in very high-scoring games all season long. So honestly, I'm just going for points here. They're both 10-5 to the over this year, and I think we get another one here with this number at 49.5.
Well, I do have some information that should help your play. There is optimism that T. Higgins will be able to go tomorrow. The game is on Saturday. Looks like he is going to be able to go and practice today. You guys do know I am all over these Friday practice reports. That a big one came out 3 minutes ago is that T. Higgins is expected to play. So if you're on the Bengals or if you're somebody on the over, that is definitely news that you want to hear. Over to Jammer before I give my pick. What do you want in this game?
So just to double down on T. Higgins there, he did the same thing last week with no practices, limited practices. I think he had a no practice on like the Thursday before the game. And so he's definitely good to go. But I'm on the same page as Ben here. Over, points. Broncos have scored 5 straight weeks of 27-plus points. Bengals, 6 of their last 7, they put up 27-plus. And their defense is just like a block of Swiss cheese out there. We've seen this Bengals defense allow so many points these last couple weeks.
So many points.
They're keeping up on the offensive end, which is what we're looking for this week. And both teams just have terrible run games. So between the two, Bo Nix and Joey Burrow, I'm expecting a lot of passing between these two. But there is one problem that I do see on the defensive end for the Broncos, and that is Patrick Surtain. And that's going to be trouble. That's going to be trouble for Jamar Chase, who currently sits as the Triple Crown holder, leading in all major receiving categories. Last 6 weeks, he's had 53 catches, 793 yards, 9 touchdowns. Only the second player in the NFL since the merger to do that since Odell
Jerry
Beckham
Rice?
Jr. No,
There we go.
Odell Beckham Jr. Last one to do what he's been doing. So that's bad news for Jamar, but great news for T. Higgins. Patrick Surtain has scored more touchdowns himself this season than he's allowed touchdowns. So I'm going to be looking at some other receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow's thrown 3+ touchdown passes, I think, the last 6 weeks straight.
Feels like 600 weeks straight.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to be looking at T. Higgins anytime touchdown at +150. I mean, Patrick Surtain is most likely going to follow Jamar Chase, in the slot on the outside, in motion. He's going to be following him across the field. He's going to take that challenge. So for me, I'm going to be targeting someone else other than him. So give me T. Higgins at plus money. I might look at some of these other guys like Jermaine Burton or Yoshi Vosh, but I'm going to be sticking with my guy, T. Higgins.
I like that. So I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you guys. I am on the over in this game. Over 49.5 is the current line on FanDuel. I think we're going to see a ton of points on both sides. The Bengals can't stop a nosebleed. I say it on the show all the time. They really can't. They have one of the worst defenses I have ever seen. It's just crazy because they have one of the best offenses we've seen in the NFL in a very long time. The numbers that Joe Burrow is putting up this year is absolutely incredible. He has 39 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions. The only person who's doing better is kind of Lamar Jackson right now, in my opinion. I know Josh Allen's having a big year, but his numbers are indicative more of Lamar Jackson's. But they're a little worse, but they're pretty freaking amazing. And if he was on any team that was in a better position, he would be right in the MVP race. Unfortunately, they are fighting from the ground up to try and get into the playoffs, so it's a tough task for him to get any recognition. But he has done a fantastic job. This offense has been clicking all year long. Chase Brown's had a great year running the ball. I think he'll be able to get loose as well. Give me the over 49.5. Definitely one of my favorite plays this week. JD, back in the saddle, back in the breakdown. What do you got? Oh, and I see Jay Bo's update. Not what we wanted to see. 7-0 Oklahoma. Games very early.
Yeah, and actually, as far as that game, I would definitely watch out because that Navy team is not really built to actually come back.
Yeah.
So actually, if they jump out to actually a bigger lead, that's not a game that I would try to actually chase on. So
agreed.
But yeah, as far as this game, as far as the model here, as far as the Bengals, it has them favored at actually 5.5, which I'm not sure that I really agree with that there. Then it also has the total at 45.9, and I'm not sure that I agree with that. As far as the over, just actually y'all, I actually was looking at that. My number is just so far off. That's why I hadn't actually moved on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've heard y'all, and I mean the over just makes a lot. It just actually makes a lot of sense here. It looking at it, I was thinking about it, and a Broncos team total over, I was thinking made a little more sense. But then the Bengals, I mean, like actually y'all said, the Bengals need this game and they can put up points. So why do I want to take them out of it? So yeah, to me it makes a lot of sense to just take both teams here and then actually play the over.
I love it. Well, then let's keep it moving. We all broke that game down. Next game we're going to be going to is going to be an NFC East showdown between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys are coming in 7-8 on the year, but they're 5-2 on the road. They're a much better football team on the road, which they are in this situation. Eagles are coming in 12-3. We all know the main storyline of this game. It was just announced that Kenny Pickett will be the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles, guy who was previously playing for the Pittsburgh Jammers. So, Jammer, let's go over to you. You think your old boy Kenny Pickett can get it done? Big spread here for a backup quarterback.
Oh, man. -7 for a home backup quarterback. From Kenny Pickett's former biggest fan, I just got to say, we are all very happy to see him playing again. He had a rough go-around last week on the road versus a divisional opponent. But let me just tell you, man, it's going to be a cakewalk this week. He gets the whole week of practice with the starters. He knows he's actually going into the game as the starter. He's at home. He's got the best offensive weapons that the NFL can offer. If they play, I know they got AJ Brown on a limited practice so far this week, but I'm thinking that they're going to want to get those starters out there, try and secure that first round bye if they can. But yeah, for Kenny, I think that this week versus this is another Swiss cheese defense on the Dallas end. They have injuries on every single level.
Yeah.
They're not a playoff team like the Washington Commanders. This is just going to be a lot easier for him instead of jumping into the game because that team looked completely lost the second that Jalen Hurts went down. They had a big, huge lead in the game. Defense shut down, offense shut down. They could have secured it at the very end of the game with one of their best players dropping the ball on a crucial third down. So for me, I'm thinking that they're going to want to get their mojo back as they're looking to head into the playoffs. And I think that this is going to be a big confidence boost for a team like the Eagles. So I'm going to be all over them at the -7. I know it's a big spread for a guy like Kenny Pickett, but you got to believe in the guy. He's a former first-round pick. He was a winner in Pittsburgh. And he's got just a simple job. You have one of the best teams in the NFL. I've said it multiple times. I think they are the best team in the NFL. You got to beat this Dallas Cowboys team into the dirt. Get that team's confidence up. And another thing is you have the best running back in the NFL with Saquon Barkley. He's around 270 yards shy of Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. I know it's one extra game of the season. And next week is probably going to be an absolute blowout versus the Giants because they're going to want that first-round pick.
He might not play. He might not play.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have a big game this week so that he can maybe have a shot at passing Eric Dickerson's record against his former team, the New York Giants.
That'd be so much fun.
That would be so great. So I'm going to be on the Eagles -7, and I'm going to be chasing that record with Saquon. I'm taking him over 108.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I really hope he does not get that record, and I will jump in next on my pick on this game. I absolutely love the under 38.5 in this game, guys. I do think this one will be a little bit low scoring. We do know that Pickett will be back there for the Eagles. We know Dak Prescott's out for the year. We have Cooper Rush back there for the Cowboys. I think both teams will heavily rely on the rushing attack. Both teams should be able to stop the rushing attack. I know the Cowboys have struggled this year, which definitely bodes well for the Eagles, but we do know that the Cowboys will be able to stack the box. They'll be able to overload and really pin their ears back and go after the runner. So I think that the key to this game will be keeping control of the ball, and I think the Eagles will do a great job of that. They'll have long, methodical drives where they're running for 4 or 5 yards of play, slowly taking up chunks of the field and getting into the end zone. And I think their defense will do enough to slow down the Cowboys offense. So give me the under 38.5. It is one of my favorite plays this week. Ben, over to you before we get to JD. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely don't mind a stab at the under, but honestly, I think I'm going to take the points with the Cowboys. It feels like one of those games where the Cowboys are 7-8. I think they want to finish the season. They're not in tank mode. I think they want to finish the season off on a good note. We've seen Cooper Rush actually start to play a little bit better. Granted, I know he beat the Panthers. That wasn't that great of a win. But then he goes out, he throws for 300 against the Bucs and kind of plays spoiler to them. I think they're just kind of on a rampage here at the end of the year, just trying to just kind of get some momentum going into next season. And that kind of looks like what they're playing like, you know, like they're not playing bad. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games now, with a 1 possession loss to the Bengals. And on the other side, Kenny Pickett, like, yeah, he had a full week to practice and everything, but you're talking about a guy who had 5 turnovers handed to him, and he still managed to blow that game. Like, you couldn't even barely.
Can we say he blew it, or are we going to say Devonta Smith blew it? Because
I mean, you could say
or
that,
the defense. You
could
say the defense blew it too.
When most of the game was Kenny Pickett being really bad, and he was given a lead. I know it was on the road. Sure, it's a tough game against a good offense, but you were given 5 turnovers and a lead, and somehow managed to find a way to lose the game. And he only completed 14 of his 24 passes, between for a few drops by Devonta Smith. Sure, but there were other bad plays as well. And he threw a pick. So he didn't look good. I get he has a full week of practice now, but he's also a little bit banged up. He had a rib injury that he's been practicing through. And now you got Micah Parsons on the other side. And that defense is still playing aggressive. I know that they haven't been the best defense this year. Yeah. They've been dealing with injuries. Micah Parsons is still on the other side of the field, and he's healthy now. So I actually think that the Cowboys are going to have some fight in this game. And I also I know CeeDee Lamb's out, but Brandon Cooks, this is a Brandon Cooks game. He's getting absolutely disrespected. He is set at 35.5 receiving yards. And I know that the Eagles have one of the best secondary groups in the NFL. Their cornerbacks are amazing. But you got to think, without CeeDee Lamb, he's the number 1 guy for sure. And especially in probably a negative game script, if the Cowboys can find a way to cover, they're going to be playing from behind, and they're going to have to feed Cooks if they want a chance to be in this game. So I think that's disrespectfully low on Cooks there, 35.5. And I also think that the Cowboys can cover this game, but still most likely lose.
JD?
So last week's game, that damn drop there at the end of the game cost me a lot. It cost me a whole lot. If he just catches that, I mean, like, that's ball game.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, as far as this game, y'all can have it. I just want nothing to do with this game. This for me is such an easy pass.
Wait.
Do the thing.
Yeah,
do the thing.
I'm doing the thing. Sometimes the best play is no play, so no action from JD here.
But
Before
I do have to say, as far as in the chat there, whatever Doc's saying there, as far as Parsons is a bum. I'm not sure who he's actually talking about there.
He's an Eagles fan.
Probably Micah
Okay.
Parsons. Probably
Yeah,
Micah
he's an
Okay,
Parsons.
Eagles
I was just about to say, because as far as Micah Parsons is definitely not a bum. But anyway, yeah.
Come on, you got to know how those Eagles fans are, bro. You know
Yeah.
they're going to run their mouths
Yeah.
about the opposition, and you know it usually ends up biting them in the ass. So be careful what you wish for, because that tends to happen to your city a good bit. Before we move on to the third game we're breaking down, I do have some injury news regarding the Bucks game. We just got a ton of information here, and the Tampa Bay Bucks will be missing a ton of guys. Cade Otton ruled out. Safety Antoine Winfield ruled out, and Sterling Shepard all ruled out for Sunday's game. So a lot of big injuries just announced for that Bucks game, and the game is off most books. Right now, the game is down. So no line that's back up, but they do have a bunch of guys that were just rolled out. Wanted to get that information in there. Jammer.
Hey, before we move on, what do you guys think about Saquon potentially breaking the record? Do you think, like, I know he's not the kind of guy to like want to go for it, but if he gets close, do you think he should go for it?
Yes. It is the hardest record to break. I know he has an extra game in the NFL, but what Dickerson did back in the day and to accumulate this many yards in shorter games is unbelievable. That's the one record that a lot of people didn't think would ever get caught. So I do think if he has the opportunity, they should try and get him the record. And please, if it's against the Giants, play your starters. Don't let us win. And please beat the Giants so we can get a quarterback with the first overall pick. That is my response to that. What does everyone else think? Ben?
Yeah, it's a fine line you're walking. You're talking about a banged up offense now. I know that Hurts is just a concussion, so he'll definitely be back. That's not really a question. But you're talking about kind of a banged up offense, at least with AJ Brown and stuff. I think he should get it. He'd go for it if he gets close. It's just I don't think they should be force feeding him 30 plus carries in the NFL, risking potentially blowing the entire playoffs because you give him 30 carries in a game and he gets hurt. So I think there's kind of a line and you have to teeter with it and see how close he gets, whatever. Sure, if you can get there, do it. But don't give him 30, 35 carries and just force feed him into an injury right before the playoffs when you need to make a run. So
It's a very good point.
It's kind of iffy.
Yeah, the good news is if you're going against the Giants, they don't have a single person on the defensive side who can make a tackle, so he'll be safe in that game. JD, what do you think about that? Do you think that he should go for the record or?
Sorry, guys, I had some tech problems here.
Okay.
That I just got fixed. What exactly are we talking about?
Saquon Barkley potentially passing the all-time single season rushing record with their schedule and with if it's going to have to come in the last week of the year, are you going to play him and give him the ball a ton and risk injury against, let's say, a lowly Giants team that you don't need the game?
I mean, like kind of what Ben said there. I mean, the Eagles to me are definitely one of the top teams, if actually not the top team.
Mhm.
So they are actually looking for a Super Bowl run here. So yes, I'm sure he wants to break that, but I think the Super Bowl run means more.
Of course.
So it's just one of those things, kind of like Ben said, if it works out, great, but don't go out of your way though.
Yeah, it would be horrible to see him pick up a minor injury against the Giants and really hurt their playoff chances this season. I would hate to see that. Totally agree with you there. All right, boys, let's keep it moving. Next game we're breaking down is a pretty big one, and one person on here I'm sure cares about it a little more than the others. We have the Green Bay Packers coming in 11-4. They're 5-2 on the road, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are 13-2 in the year, and they are 7-1 at home. Over to the injury report. Let's start with the Packers. A bunch of guys on the offensive side are true game-time decisions. Andre Dillard, offensive tackle. Elgton Jenkins, the guard. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft are two tight ends. And Christian Watson, who feels like he's been questionable for the last 5 weeks and seems to always go. On the other side, the Vikings really have a couple question marks on the defensive side, which is going to be Jalen Redmond and Fabian Moreau, a corner and a defensive tackle. I always like to look at the ESPN BPI, see what they're thinking about this one, just to get a good understanding of what they're predicting. And they're giving the Packers a 57% chance over to a 43% chance for the Vikings. Ben, you got to be the one to start on this game. It's your team. It's the game of the year for you guys. How do you think it's going to play out?
Yeah, I'm really not sure what to think of this game. Obviously, the Packers are a great team. Their only 4 losses are to 4 of the best teams in the NFL. You can't really knock them for being even a few games behind here in what's the best division in football, I think, without a question this year. So from a record perspective, the Vikings have a better record, but these teams are very, very close in skill, I believe, when healthy. And that is exactly what the line has said here. Even going from the week, you look where this line opened, and they opened underdogs. Like, the books are not messing around in this game. And I think that's kind of telling because I'm really I'm really not sure what to think of this one. Now that the line has flipped, the Vikings are 1-point favorites, but the fact that they opened as underdogs was quite telling. So I'm actually not going to be on the Vikings in this game. From a betting perspective, I obviously hope they win. They do have, I will say, that they have the healthier team for sure. Their offense is pretty much 100% healthy, except for Christian Darrisaw. Their left tackle has been out for like the entire season so far, so that's not really new news. And then on the defensive side, they're pretty healthy. And even Ivan Pace, who's been on the IR, he would practice in full Thursday, so he might be coming back. So they're the much healthier team for sure. And you look on the other side, Christian Watson is a big injury. I know it does feel like he's questionable every week, but he didn't
every week.
A few days this week. So I don't know if that's kind of coming back as a problem. It's a knee issue. And then Jair Alexander and some other secondary guys are also banged up. So from a health perspective, I think the Vikings have the advantage and they have home field advantage. But this line is messing with my head, and it's going to have to be a no play for me.
Up. Wait. We got this twice today, boys. It's a big day. Sometimes the best play is no play. I respect that, especially because it's your team too. A lot of times, this is a game you're probably going to want to enjoy. I know we do this professionally and full-time, but every now and then, there's a big game, and you probably want to sit there and just root for your Vikings. So I hope you do get to enjoy that as a fan. It's not very often us as cappers get to enjoy a game as a fan. I do apologize. Looks like the cops are here for Ben, if you guys can hear that. So, Ben, you better stay in hiding. But I'll start with this game next, guys. I like the under in this matchup. It is a divisional game. You know, this is a very good rivalry here, and 48.5 to me is just too many points. I know these offenses are pretty explosive, but we are seeing a bunch of injuries, like Christian Watson for the Packers side. And I do think this one will be more of a defensive battle. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than people are thinking. I don't think this game gets out of the 30s. It's probably going to be in that range. So I'm definitely on the under 48.5, one of my favorite plays of the week. Jammer, what do you like in this one?
So these two teams have split their season series each of the last 3 seasons. We all saw Minnesota win the earlier matchup this season, 31-29. But Green Bay outgained them by almost 100 yards in that game. Jordan Love had probably his best game of the season outside of those costly interceptions that he threw, including one late in the fourth quarter. I think it was like the first play of a drive where they could have went down and took the lead. So he's had a up and down season, but these last 5 weeks, he's looked great. 0 INTs. I think he's had like close to 10 touchdowns. So he's been playing well. And every week we come in here, we're somehow talking about the Minnesota Vikings. And every single week we always talk about how they love to blitz. But Jordan Love, he is great against the blitz. I had to do a deep dive into this last night. He has been strong versus the blitz these last 6 weeks. Listen to this. He's 38 of 53. That's over 70% completion rate. 523 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 INTs with a passer rating of 134 against the blitz. I mean, that is just insane for a young quarterback, only in his second full season starting. I think that just comes with sitting behind a future Hall of Famer and Aaron Rodgers and, you know, getting the time to kind of learn the team and learn the offense. It comes with experience, and he's really showing it this last couple weeks. So I'm thinking that that defense is going to throw it at him all game, but I think that he's perfectly set for this role, and I'm fully expecting a big game out of him and the rest of this Packers team on the road. I'm going to be all over the Packers in this game. I know I showed that picture of Ben last week where he's all sad on the sidelines. I don't have it lined up this week, but just remember what I showed last week. That's going to be Ben.
Question.
I know, it was close.
JD, do you sense something brewing? Do you feel
I'm starting to
the power of what's brewing between these two down here? It just feels like we may have found this week's Cluck Bet.
I don't think he wants to touch it.
I know, but you're still a Vikings fan, though. So with the way he was wording it, I thought you may jump up and dive in there. But we'll let JD go here. We'll see if there's a match there because we still don't have one. We still have to find this week Cluck Bet.
Yeah, you know, when I first think of these teams, the first thought that comes to my mind is it's fucking cold. So I like had to put the hat on again. But anyway, at this point in the season, we all know like who these two teams are. And I do have to say that actually this like Green Bay team, I am not trying to bet against them. I actually know like a few weeks back, I like was trying to find spots too. Now I am definitely not. If you look when I look at my rankings for the last 5 weeks, crazy to say, but I have the Packers as number one. They are playing very well.
Wow.
You know, with all that
Yeah, they're-
being
yeah.
with all that being said, this is a coin flip game, and actually like the market has it priced there. A-
Yeah.
and actually like I can definitely see actually why here. The difference for me in this game is last week the Vikings had a hard fought game. And the Packers, I don't even know what you want to call that. That was not even a game.
Yeah.
That was actually just like a practice. Like it like literally wasn't even an actual game.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the little thing that actually tips me to the Packers side. You can still get their money line currently at actually minus 105. And I'm going to be all over that.
There we go. There we go. I like it. Do we have a cluck bet here, boys? Nobody's getting on it.
I feel like if I cluck bet and the Vikings lose, and I have to cluck, that's gonna be the ultimate depressional week for me. So I don't think I
Probably.
can do it.
All right. Well, maybe we'll find one in the last game, boys, because we got to find one. We can't go. We're not going to go to week 17 and miss our
Yeah.
first clock bet of the season. That's not
Gotta find
happening. So
something.
we will find something. And check down there the beautiful
Hey,
picture.
Keep
of
showing
Ben.
it. You keep showing that, and we keep winning. You know what? Bring it back every week. Bring it back every week. I
Look
love
at you.
it.
You're getting ready for this whole battle. You're saying we're going to win, blah, 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 but no clock bet? Okay, no problem. Let's keep it moving.
If you guys want to cluck bet it, I'll cluck bet it.
We'll see. If we don't have
We'll
have
see.
anything
We'll
on this
see.
game.
We'll come
we'll
back
see.
around to it.
Last game we're breaking down, Falcons taking on the Commanders. We also went out with the Commanders last week. Insane game against the Eagles that they won 36-33. Commanders quietly have won 3 in a row. They're securing their playoff spot. They've done a good job at the latter part of the year. And they've done a great job at home. They are 6-2 at home this season, taking on a Falcons team that's 8-7. They are 4-3 on the road. The Falcons had a bye week last week. Oh, I do apologize. Looks like they played the New York Giants, so same thing as a bye week. They won 34-7. But we did get to see the debut of Michael Penix, and I thought he looked pretty good. Granted, he wasn't throwing up against, NFL caliber defense, but I thought he did look pretty good. JD, we haven't started with you yet. We're going to start with you on this game. What do you like in this one, Falcons Commanders?
Man, for me, I think this is a really tough game. Because like you just said, as far as Mr. Michael Penix, he actually did look good actually last week. But
That's
like
so
you
too.
said, that was against you know who. But then again, this week, as far as the Commanders go, their like defense is not that good. So I really don't know what we're going to see there, but this is going to be his first road game.
Yep.
So we also don't know what we're going to get there. We're also looking like we're going to have some rain. It's looking like it's going to be some wind.
Yep.
So to me, it's just a lot of factors of we don't know what we're going to see here.
Yep.
At first, the actual over was kind of what I was thinking, but then when all of those factors came into play, and then I really looked at it, I was like, damn, maybe the under may like actually be the like play here. And then as far as the Commander side, there's where I was like going to first. I thought I was gonna easily be on there. But then just the more that I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. The Falcons are looking better and better here to me.
Yep.
So for me, this is the one that I honestly just need to dive into a little bit more. It does look like for me, it's going to be either the Falcons side or either under. But I'm just not sure actually which one yet.
So more to come from JD on this game. Maybe I could help influence your decision a little bit more because one of my favorite plays this week, I'll let it out early. It's a best bet for me. Is going to be the under in this football game. I have a few unders this week, but I think this one is definitely going to stay low for the reasons you just said. I think a lot of people are going to bet this game with the over. They say these two teams, they can put up points, but they're not really checking the weather report. This is a Sunday night football game, primetime game where it's projected to be 50 degrees, so not too cold, but it's going to be heavy rains and winds, and that's very difficult for a rookie quarterback to navigate. His first road game going up into a stadium, which, past couple years, probably not a big deal going into Washington. It is right now. Their fan base is in it. They have a quarterback for the first time since Joe Theismann for forever, basically. So their team is all the way in. Their fan base is all the way in, and it should be a difficult environment for Penix to go into and play. I'm not comfortable taking the Commanders in the -4 either. That line just seems a little fishy. I mean, outside of the Giants game, this Falcons team has looked terrible, so I don't know how you could take into that account the Giants team and make that line that way. So for me, the under is definitely one of my favorite plays this week. It's definitely a best bet for me as well. Jammer, what do you like in this game?
Yes, I mean, primetime games, what we just saw on Thursday, we're all about the unders. So 2 rookie quarterbacks in the big moment like this for playoff implications. But I talked about last week, I think that this is the downfall of the Washington Commanders. I'm going to double down on it. I think they're going to lose this week. They didn't stick to the plan last week. The Eagles almost had it. We would have been sitting in the spot where I said, Washington Commanders are going to lose these final couple weeks. They're going to get booted out of the playoffs. The Seahawks are going to sneak in. I'm going to double down on it this week. I'm going to be taking Michael Penix Jr. and the Falcons on the road, going into Washington, showing that they got the better pick in the NFL draft with Michael Penix over Jaden Daniels. That offense for the Falcons, they look good, but as you said, they played the Giants, so this is a big week for them and showing what they got with their offensive weapons. Hopefully we see some good defense so that we can cash those unders for you guys. But I just think that the weapons on the offense for the Falcons are just a little notch ahead. I don't know about on the quarterback end. We haven't seen enough out of Michael Penix Jr., but Bijan Robinson, Mooney, London, Tyler Algier, they have some weapons. If Kyle Pitts can hold on to the ball, he's one of the best tight ends in the league. But I'm gonna be all over them at the +4. Going to do a little sprinkle on the money line there. So give me the Atlanta Falcons.
Hold on. Before we move on, there's no way you just said Kyle Pitts is one of the best tight ends in the league, right?
Hey,
there's just no way you said that.
Athleticism, if he could just learn to hold on to the ball. You're a professional.
Oh, athleticism,
hold on to the ball.
If he can, but part of his job is catching.
No
and he
hands,
can't catch. So I don't know. There's a lot of sayings. If my grandmother had an XYZ, she'd be an XYZ. So I'm not going to go there. Ben, what do you got in this one?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the weather alpha because my favorite
JD
play
did,
in this
JD
game
did.
is actually a prop. It is Jaden Daniels over 47.5 rushing yards. During this little last stretch of the season, we've seen him use his legs a lot as he's gotten more comfortable as the season's gone on. Last 4 games, 81 rush yards against Philadelphia last week, 66 against New Orleans the week before, 34 the week before against Tennessee, 74 the week before against Dallas. So in 3 of his last 4 games, he's flown over this number. We've seen him hit it multiple times this year. He's gotten into the 50s quite frequently. And this is just another game where they all of a sudden clinch this game, or they clinch the playoff spot if they win this game. And on top of that, you brought up that weather. That weather comes into play. If it's heavy rain and winds, you would think that Jaden Daniels is going to have to use his legs a little bit more. And so all that kind of just adds up to me saying I think Jaden Daniels goes over 47.5 rushing yards. And I also do think that the Commanders do win this game. I like them on the side here. They're 6-2 at home. The Falcons, I'm sorry, but I cannot put that much trust in any performance we saw from Michael Penix Jr. last week. Yes, he looked pretty good. He threw for 200 yards. We didn't really see his legs that much, but the Giants were quite literally, I believe, trying to lose that game. They were doing whatever they could to just say, let's get the best draft pick and get out of here and go back home. He was playing at home in his debut against one of the worst teams in football this year.
All right, dude. All right,
Alpha. And now he's going on the road to a playoff caliber team that just had 5 turnovers and still won a game. Like we were talking about it with the Lions earlier in the season. Any team that can have 5 turnovers and win a game is a dangerous team. And the Commanders just did it against one of the best teams in the NFL. Yes, it was with Kenny Pickett after the Hurts injury, but still 5 turnovers won the game against one of the best teams in the NFL. So I think the Commanders are an absolutely dangerous offense. This is not like anything like the game last week for Michael Penix. I think he's going to struggle a little bit here on the road. The Commanders are going to take care of business and punch that spot.
There we go. Well, before we go into the final things we do on the show, I have one more question to ask the panel here. One more. So this is probably the first week we haven't talked about a certain team in the AFC. And we're not going to let an entire show go by without talking about a team in the AFC, especially a team that made me cluck this fucking week. So, JD, what do you think about that Pittsburgh Steelers defense? I did want to see what your thoughts were currently as we go into week 17.
I mean, they're kind of what I thought they were. I mean, like, and I believe that the past couple of weeks I've actually kind of shown that. You know, the Steelers, kind of like I've said, actually, like, they are actually not a bad team.
Agreed.
They actually like really aren't. They're just not as good as actually they were riding. They were just riding that high streak there for a while, and I was just trying to say that wasn't going to keep going. You know, so it's gonna be interesting here to see actually what they can do. But just the way I think matchups are gonna go, I just don't think they're gonna get very far.
What do you think about the rumors right now that the Steelers are trying to lock up Russ for a couple more years and do an extension? What do you think about that? Well, you think about your thought on that. Let's ask the Steelers fan, because I have some thoughts on this too. You're not the Steelers fan, Ben. If we were asking you if you're keeping Sam Darnold or going to J.J. McCarthy, we'll do that later in the year. Wait your turn. Jammer, what do you think?
I mean, the quarterback market is terrible right now. So, I mean, at this point, I'm almost down to go back to Justin Fields. We've already kept him from jumping up to a 4th-round pick. Outside of the moon balls, which I absolutely love from Russ, he has not looked good. He has not looked comfortable in that backfield. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He has plenty of experience.
Yes, so is Rodgers.
There's just a different feel. Like, outside of those moon balls, absolutely perfect. I don't know what else he does well.
I agree.
Because that red zone interception last week, where we run the ball in with Jaylen Warren, they call it back on an offensive holding. The next play, he throws it into triple coverage in the middle of the field. Yeah. You just ran down the field like it was nothing, and then you're just going to immediately blow all the momentum on a just a terrible throw down the middle. But for me, there's just not very many options. Like, it seems to be he's our only option. We've kind of given up on Justin Fields.
Which is wrong. Fields looked way better in that offense, in my opinion, than Russell Wilson did. And the team played harder on the offensive end. You didn't see as many George Pickens moments. I'll put them that way. You didn't see as many George Pickens moments with Justin Fields in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a completely different feel. But like I said, I love those long moon balls, which we definitely did not see a lot with Justin, but it just seemed like the offense was moving a little bit more smoothly, especially having, I mean, I know Russ was running the ball like crazy last week, but he can't maintain that like Justin can.
Correct.
So for me, there's no rookie quarterback that I would like to see them take late in the draft, because we're obviously not going to have a early draft pick. There's no real, like,
you don't want Kirk?
Splash. There's no Kirk. No, he cucked me a couple years ago in the fantasy football championship, so he's been dead to me for the last couple of years.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there's no splash free agent that you can get. So for me, I mean, it's really him, or you just completely disband him and go back to Justin Fields, which I would be down for. So
I think that would be the best move personally. That's my decision on it. Ben, you wanted to get something in there? Sorry, boys, we had to get some kind of Steelers talk on the show. We're a Steelers show after all.
My point isn't so much necessarily Russell Wilson versus Justin Fields. I wanted to talk to what JD was talking about with this defense being exactly what he thought it was the whole year. I just think that they're getting way too much shit for now losing 3 games in a row. When you look at the past 3 games, there were 3 games in an 11-day span, one on Christmas.
I agree with that.
And you were the 2 games leading up to that Chiefs game were against literally the 2 best rushing offenses in the NFL. You had Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, Eagles, and then you had Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Ravens. The best rushing attacks you can see. So they were just absolutely obliterating the defensive line. They've been doing that to every team this year. Like, those are 2 really hard rushing offenses to play back to back. And then you throw in another short week against the Chiefs, who are like the kings of extending drives. I don't think that defense can be shit on too much for that 3-game stretch that we've seen them on these last 3 weeks. And then you think about the fact that they also played the Ravens and Eagles games without George Pickens, who has easily been one of the best receivers in the NFL this year. So they were not fully healthy on the offensive side. And I think that kind of played into giving the ball back to the defense quickly. We saw Russ not looking like himself. I think the defense just got really tired leading up to that Christmas game. And so that was just kind of all of that leading up. And the previous 2 games were against 2 of the best rushing offenses in the NFL. So, yeah, they didn't look great, but I don't think you can really dog them too much for this 3-game losing streak. I mean, they were 10-3 coming into that. Really, that 3-game stretch is one of the hardest 3-game stretches we've seen in any NFL schedule.
Easily.
It's definitely a tough stretch.
And there's also talks about some defensive player who is not locked in. I think it was Cam Hayward said it's tough whenever
what an idiot. What a fucking idiot.
There's 10 guys locked in on the defensive side, and it's tough whenever 10 guys are doing their job and 1 guy's not. Nobody's pointing fingers. I don't know who it could be, but I don't know if it's one of the D-backs, if it's a linebacker.
Imagine you're in that locker room and you're walking in there wondering, is he talking about me?
I think the guy knows. The guy has to know who he's talking about.
If you think he's talking about you, he's talking about you.
I mean, if you're in the defense, anybody on the defense is going to think that's about him unless you're probably TJ Watt. So, I mean, to me, I thought that was a very stupid comment of him to make. It's very similar to the A.J. Brown comments from a couple weeks ago we talked about. Just unnecessary.
Hey, you got to light a fire sometimes, man. Sometimes you got to light a fire.
I agree. So be a man and say the name of the person who's been effing it up. Don't leave it up to question. I saw a great report from Ryan Clark, former Steeler, who went on saying there's nothing worse than saying no player and leaving it so every player thinks it's about them. You have an issue with someone, someone's not giving it their all, you call them out and you handle it. You don't just say there's somebody here. You don't do that. So that everyone thinks it's about them. But Steelers show is over. We have a couple other things that we have to do on this show, fellas. So one thing I do want to get into quickly before we go into best bets and a couple other things is going to be – actually, wait, quickly, we got to take the score. Got to take the game off. We're not doing that game anymore. But the MoneyBall Metrics hot streak sale right now, guys, $20 for just a month. It's been extended to Sunday. Make sure you guys get in the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. $20 for an entire month is one of, if not the best deal I've seen on this Discord so far. So make sure you guys take advantage of it. It's only open until Sunday. The link will be posted on the MoneyBall Metrics Discord. We can't go into best bets yet, guys. We need a cluck bet. So I don't know what has to happen here. But something has to happen.
Packers, Vikings, come on.
Yeah, I'll do the Vikings. If you guys want to do the Vikings, we need a cluck
bet. Who's in on it? I know we got Ben. I know we got Jammer. JD's in on it. Wow, a free week for Alpha on the under. Huh? Fantastic. Good. We got our cluck bet. More to come on that. I'm excited.
Wait, who's on the Vikings? Oh, you are.
No. Green Bay. Sorry.
Green Bay for Jammer, Green Bay for JD, and Vikings for Ben is the order of that one.
Wait. What about you, Alpha?
I'm on the under.
He wants to sit on the under.
I'm sitting on the outside.
Well, I got enticed into a cluck bet that I didn't necessarily want to make because I gave no plan on the game. But now you're going to sit out because you just don't want to. You don't want to put up the risk to cluck.
All right, I don't even remember whose team Jammer and JD are on, but I'm joining that one if it's a cluck bet.
All right,
just
fine.
Historical data. Just because of historical data.
I want to see a 3-person cluck, 3-on-1
more than anyone. So I'm joining your team. I'm in. Who we on? Packers? Let's go Packers on the under. Packers and the under. All right, boys.
Game. We're not just going to let you sit on the sidelines, and you don't get to be Switzerland in the World Wars, all right? You have to join.
Somebody on the show last week sent out a cluck bet. Don't remember who it was, but I think we all know who it was.
I would have been on the winning side.
We're going to best bets. Everybody reel it in. We got things we have to do. So we're going over our best bets. Ben, we're going to start with you. Do you have 1? Do you have 2? Do you have 3? Do you have 97? How many best bets do you have for the people?
I have 4, and I forgot to put one on the graphic, so I'll just have to say it. My first one is Cowboys +7. I do think they'll be able to keep it close. I really like getting a touchdown with them there. I didn't pick it, or I didn't like what I saw from him. Sorry, I like him. I'm sure he's a great person. Commanders -3.5 is my other favorite play. I really think this offense is going to go off, and I don't think Michael Penix played as good as people are giving him credit for. The team that's trying to tank. And then Bengals-Broncos over 50. I absolutely love that play. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in that game. And then the last one is going to be the prop that I said earlier, Jane Daniels over 47.5 rushing yards, which will not be on the graphic, but it's the 4th one.
There we go. Danny McBride, a.k.a. JD. What do you got?
For this week, I just have the one play, and it's going to be the cluck bet. It's going to be the Packers. Let's go on the money line at a -105.
There we go. Jammer, what you got?
I got 4 for us this week. Starting off with the cluck bet, Packers money line. I'm going to be agreeing with Ben on this one with the Broncos Bengals over. I think you get it over 49.5, 50.5, doesn't matter to me. It's going to soar over that number. Stick it in that game. T. Higgins, anytime touchdown. I think you're getting great value there with Patrick Surtain following around Jamar Chase. I know he's a Triple Crown holder, but that Patrick Surtain is having one of the best seasons on the defensive end that we've seen in a long time, probably since Darrelle Revis. Shout out Pit legend Darrelle. And the final one, Saquon Barkley. I want to see him get close to the sun. I want to see him get close to that record. Over 108.5 rushing yards. Get close to the number. Make us talk about it next week. We want to see you get 270 plus to break the record, especially next week versus the Giants. It would be absolute cinema.
Oh, absolute cinema. Can't wait for that. Really hoping we get to see that. I'll go over my best bets, gentlemen. I have 2 unders. 2 unders are my 2 best bets. Falcons, Commanders, under 47.5. And Cowboys, Eagles, under 39.5. Fellas, we broke the games down. We talked a little smack about the Steelers, which I'm always down to do. We got a little cluck bet in as well. And JD's about to go snowmobiling in Canada. It's a great day. JD, any parting words for the people before we get out of here? And I also have the bets graphic on the screen if anyone wants to take their screenshots.
Yeah, I am normally coming actually to us, y'all, from a nice warm place. But I'm on the road now, and it's really freaking cold here. And there's a lot of snow right out there. So actually, just like Alpha said, I'm actually about to go out there and have a lot of fun. But yeah, as far as tonight's games, this actual weekend's games, let's just do like we always do, and let's fucking win.
Let's fucking win. Navy just got a 4th down stop, so they're about to turn this disaster around, and we're all excited to see Ben cluck next week, per usual. Ben, any parting words before we get out of here?
I can't wait to not be clucking a week from today. It'll be 2025 when we meet again.
Oh, yeah.
All 4 of us meet again. Not just in general, but when all 4 of us meet again, it will be 2025. And the first cluck bet of the year will be those 3 up there clucking instead of me. And I'm excited for it. So
I respect that. Jammer, get us out of here. Send some parting words to the people.
So I'll be back on Wednesday. So, I'm just going to use the classic. See you next year.
See you next year. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. As JD always says, let's fucking win. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.